YouTube, what's up? It's Bobby C back here with another handgun overview. Today I want to show you a deep dive of the Bill Jury Ned Christensen SHOT Show 2008 1911 that I have. It's one of the most unique 1911s that is in my collection, and probably one of the most unique 1911s that I've ever seen or that kind of exists in the custom 1911 world. Not a surprise, it came from the mind of Ned Christensen, and he's kind of, I would say, if not the top guy, one of the top three of just creating and thinking up very, very innovative, different things and concepts for the platform. So with that said, I'm not going to give you the full layout of all the features that this firearm has, but I do want to take a moment and show you what he did with the internals, how he lightened it, what the concept of it was, and the way he went about achieving that. So with that said, here is the Ned Christensen version of the Jury 5 stainless Colt from SHOT Show 2008. This thing has been gone through. Again, it's very unique, very strange, but at the same time, I absolutely love it. Ned also created a barrel that's been threaded that carries a special tool. I'm not going to go about taking the threads off, but essentially this tool would be inserted into here. This locks into place, and then you would be able to unthread the front of this barrel, and it's made to mate with a Gemtech suppressor. This is obviously just a mock suppressor. It's not real. If it was though, and this was then unthreaded, this would go in at this point, would just screw on, and voila, you would have a suppressed Colt with a red dot mount housing for, just this isn't going to move, the slide's going to move. So a very cool, unique thing that Ned did with the concept of the suppressor. He did a bunch of other cool stuff. The grip safety's pinned. You only have this one piece of engagement, which I actually love. It's probably one of my favorite features that I've seen kind of put into a 1911. Just really cool. Never seen that before. And again, this is going to be kind of littered with goodies. So let me take the slide off the firearm, and I can kind of go in to show you guys just how interesting this is. So here is the slide stop. You can see that chamfer, kind of all that, but on this backside, you can kind of see here, Ned started to remove metal to lighten this up, and that was kind of the concept of the entire firearm, is how do I make this as light as possible for carry or combat use? And you will see it's pretty remarkable the amount of lightening that this has. So front end of the firearm, go ahead and remove the plug. So that's just a plug to retain the guide rod spring and guide rod, and then we have the barrel, and you can see all that's been lightened up. How crazy that is. So cool, very, very unique. There's the holes that this tool kind of goes into, and then you would just unscrew this if you wanted to remove the front end of this for that integral suppressor. This is a Nolan barrel, and I think that Ned probably used this Nolan because at the time Cart likely wasn't offering something that would fit his need to be able to do something like this too. So anyways, very, very cool, very, very unique barrel. I've never seen anything quite like this before, and you can kind of see the intricate details of what that looks like. Onto the slide, I'll just kind of show you what this looks like on the underside, and you can kind of see all the metal that was drilled out all throughout here. Metal was removed, and this slide weighs quite a bit less than what your standard stainless slide would weigh. Very cool. You know, you got like your ladder cut, which is, you know, typical of Ned. And I'm sorry, I'm not able to really gather a great picture or video of it. And then you have Ned's shield driver sight, which is very, very unique and cool all in its own right. So there's the slide. Once we get away from the slide and to the frame, this is filled with all kind of fun goodies as well. And I'm gonna go ahead and start showing you just what he did on this. So first off, you can kind of see, just like with the slide, you can see where he started taking off all this metal, all in here, all back through. Very, very risky to do that. I don't think that this will be duplicated ever again, just because, you know, you get all the way through here and you make a small mistake and you've ruined a completely custom firearm. So I don't foresee that being a thing. You can see where Ned started to lighten the trigger in terms of the shoe through the holes, through the 3 holes. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the grips really quickly just to show you what was done on the actual frame as well. So this does carry some thin grips. I don't remember who made these grips off the top of my head, but they are one-off custom grips. It looks like it was Esmeralda, maybe? So anyways, these grips are extremely thin, thinner than really any of the other thin cut grips that I've seen, and very cool. Again, I think the ultimate goal here for Ned was just lightening up as much as actual possible to make this as completely functional as possible as well. Now that the grips are off, you can see that Ned went ahead and cut inside and opened up these holes quite a bit more than what's on your standard 1911. If you look in here, you will see this was cut up on the front strap, and material is reduced there as well to make that lighter. You can see material is taken off there, and taken off back here as well. Again, just crazy to see how much metal was actually taken off this frame. I mean, there's not much there. So the fact that Ned was able to achieve that is really, really, really cool. Absolutely think that's a one-of-a-kind, very, very unique thing that, again, I've not seen really ever done before. I am going to take this down even farther, so just bear with me a moment while I remove some of these parts. almost done. Bear with me one more second while I push these pins out. All right, so back to the frame. You can see here where Ned's completely reprofiled the frame, where he's cut back to fit that mainspring housing. This looks like it could be a max bevel Chen, but at the same time, there's just a complete crazy amount of lightning. You can see where more metal has been removed there. You can see where this has been cut back. You can see where, I mean, the frame is, I mean, it's very, very, it's just gone through. If we look at the mainspring housing, you can see how much metal has been taken off and then how crazily and perfectly fit this mainspring housing goes. So it doesn't go in the bottom like most 1911s. It actually starts up the back of the 1911 on this one. And then you will see the conimids here, and look how perfectly Ned fits that. I mean, that's incredible, all in its own self, all in its own right. You can see right there where it was cut up, and then that fits in to exacting standards. Onto the grip safety. The grip safety is cut down the middle in a handful of parts, and you can kind of see it goes like this, but this is pinned. You can see how much this is lightened up all around, and then here is actually the pivoting working grip safety. That's completely different than really anything I've ever seen on any other 1911. And again, it just kind of sits here, and this is the only part that pivots is the piece with the pad. The rest, this stays pinned into the frame. Thumb safety, same thing. Ned drilled that out and kind of took that down a bit, which is ridiculous all in itself. Very, very, very cool. I don't have, maybe I do. I don't think I have a screwdriver tip here small enough to I don't have a screwdriver here small enough to take down the the magazine release, unfortunately. Wish I did. If I did, I would definitely show you guys. No. But the trigger bow, I don't know if you can see in there or not. The trigger bow has been lightened. You can see all in there, which is very cool. And, you know, one of the things that's just very impressive to me is how sometimes these tracks inside the frame are off center. They're not to spec. Ned has gone through and reworked all that, so it's back to spec, back to perfection. That's not something that's easy to do. It takes hours of time and hours of work. But look at that frame. Is that beautiful or what? I mean, that to me is just extremely fun, extremely cool. Never seen anything quite like that ever on a 1911. The guns fit very nicely. It's not as tight as some of my custom 1911s are, but at the same time, I don't think that the goal was ultimate tightness. I think it was ultimate reliability, as well as making this firearm as lightweight as possible. It slides and it's very smooth. It's not rattly at all. But at the same time, there is some play, which again, doesn't bother me in the least. It just kind of is what it is, and it's geared towards something a little different than really my other 1911s are. Outside of that, I just think that this is probably, if not the coolest, one of the coolest firearms in my collection. You know, I hope that it kind of sheds some light on work that some custom builders are able to achieve or even attempt. And I don't necessarily think that there's anyone out there that would attempt this again, including Ned. But at the same time, I can say that I'm super fortunate to have this one. I don't want to get too long-winded. I don't want to, you know, extend the video to a point where people just stop watching and they're not interested anymore. But at the same time, I did think that it would be really cool to show off what these internals looked like, how they kind of fit together perfectly, and just the amount of time. I mean, I don't even know the amount of time that Ned has in this gun. It's got to be hundreds of hours. With that said, I'm sure, you know, I'm not going to bore you guys with, you know, putting the thing back together on camera, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you found it interesting and cool to see the, you know, what the internal work of, you know, a guy like Ned Christensen looks like, and just how far outside of the box he can think. And remember, this is going back to 2008. So, you know, his work has evolved since then. So the stuff that he's putting out in today's world is even, you know, is even crazier. And over the years, if you find or see his work, I think you can truly respect it, because he's usually one of the first to the table with a lot of stuff, and just the way his mind works and stuff that he does is very unique and different than really anyone else that I've seen out there. So anyways, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for you know, spending the last 15 minutes with me. Hopefully you found the video interesting and useful, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care, guys.